In a small, quiet town where mornings began with the sound of azan and evenings ended with tired silence, there lived a woman named Amina. No one called her by her name anymore. To the world, she was simply someone's mother. To herself, she was everything: mother, father, protector, provider, and prayer. Her house was not big. The paint on the walls had faded years ago, and the roof leaked whenever the rain became too heavy. But inside that house lived a heart so large that it could hold endless pain without ever asking for rest. Amina had one son. His name was Daniel. From the day Daniel was born, Amina's life stopped being about herself. Her dreams folded quietly and were placed in a corner of her heart, untouched. She told herself one day, "When my son stands strong, my sacrifices will make sense." She never imagined that same son would one day forget the woman who gave him life. Daniel's father died when Daniel was only 4 years old. That night, Amina didn't scream. She didn't collapse. She didn't cry in front of anyone. She washed her tears with water, wrapped her grief in patience, and stood up because her son was watching. From that day onward, Amina woke up before the sun and slept long after the moon had risen. She worked in other people's houses, cleaned floors that were not hers, washed clothes that smelled of comfort she never had. Some nights she came home with swollen feet and trembling hands. She would sit beside Daniel as he slept, gently brushing his hair with her fingers, whispering prayers into the silence. "Why, Allah, let him grow into a good man. Let him never feel the hunger I feel. Let him never feel alone." When food was not enough, Amina would say she had already eaten. When winter came and there was only one warm blanket, Daniel slept under it while she sat nearby, pretending the cold didn't hurt. Daniel never saw her pain, and maybe that was her greatest mistake. Daniel grew up knowing his mother was always there. If he fell sick, she stayed awake all night. If he cried, she forgot her own exhaustion. If he wanted something, she found a way, even if it meant selling her last pair of earrings. At school events, Amina stood at the back, her clothes simple, her hands rough, her eyes full of pride. When teachers praised Daniel, her heart felt lighter, as if her suffering had meaning. She would often say, "One day, my son will stand tall. One day he will be respected. And when that day comes, all this pain will disappear." Daniel heard those words but never truly understood them. Children rarely do. As Daniel grew older, Amina began dreaming quietly. She dreamed of a future where her son would return home after work, sit beside her and ask about her day. She dreamed of a daughter-in-law who would respect her, not as a burden, but as the woman who raised the man she loved. She never spoke these dreams aloud. Mothers like Amina don't ask, they wait. When Daniel got into college, Amina cried that night, not because she was sad, but because she was proud. She sold a small piece of land left by her husband to pay his fees. That land was her only security. She never told Daniel. College changed Daniel slowly, quietly, without warning. He stopped coming home early. He stopped sharing his thoughts. His phone became more important than conversations with his mother. Amina noticed, but she said nothing. She told herself, "He is growing. This is normal." But inside her heart, a small fear began to grow. When Daniel started working, he moved to the city. Amina stayed behind in the same small house, waiting for phone calls that came less and less. Sometimes she would cook his favorite food on weekends, just in case he visited. Most times, the food went cold. Whenever neighbors asked about Daniel, Amina smiled. "My son works in the city. He is doing very well." She never mentioned the loneliness. She never mentioned the silence of her nights. She never mentioned how she sometimes slept holding his childhood shirt, just to feel close to him. Mothers like Amina don't complain, they endure. One day Daniel called. His voice was excited. "Ami, I want to tell you something important." Amina's heart beat faster. "Yes, beta, I have found someone. I want to marry her." Amina closed her eyes and whispered Alhamdulillah. She didn't ask questions. She didn't worry about herself. She only said, "If she makes you happy, then she is welcome." Daniel smiled on the other end of the phone. He didn't hear the slight tremble in his mother's voice. Amina didn't know that from this moment on, her place in her son's life would slowly begin to disappear. She didn't know that love, when mixed with influence, could turn into distance. She didn't know that the woman who once lived at the center of Daniel's world would soon be pushed to the edges. All she knew was that her son was happy, and for a mother like Amina, that was always enough. Marriage changed Daniel's life, but not in the way his mother had prayed for. Daniel married Sarah, a woman he believed completed him. She was educated, confident, and knew exactly how to speak in a way that made people listen. To Daniel, she felt like a new world, bright, modern, and full of promises. Amina welcomed Sarah with an open heart. She cooked her best meals. She cleaned the house until her hands ached. She spoke gently, carefully choosing her words so she wouldn't make a mistake. She wanted to be loved, or at least, not hated. But Sarah never looked at Amina the way Amina looked at her. To Sarah, Amina was not a mother. She was a reminder of a past Daniel should leave behind. At first, Sarah's words were soft, almost harmless. "She is too traditional. She doesn't understand our lifestyle. She interferes too much." Daniel laughed him off. "She's just my mother," he said casually. But words, when repeated often enough, begin to feel like truth. Sarah didn't shout. She didn't argue loudly. She simply planted seeds. And Daniel, without realizing it, let them grow. Amina noticed the change immediately. Daniel spoke less to her. He avoided sitting beside her. His eyes no longer softened when he looked at her. Still, she tried. She woke up early to prepare breakfast for both of them. She asked Sarah if she needed help. She stayed quiet during their conversations, afraid her words might be misunderstood. One evening, Amina overheard Sarah whispering to Daniel, "I feel uncomfortable here. This house feels old, crowded." Daniel didn't reply. Silence this time was agreement. A few weeks later, Daniel spoke to his mother. "Ami, we're thinking of moving to a separate place." The words hit Amina like cold rain. She forced a smile. "Of course, beta, you should live comfortably." Her voice didn't break. Her face didn't show pain. But that night, Amina sat alone in her room, staring at the walls that had witnessed her entire life. She whispered to herself, "I raised him to fly. I didn't know he would fly away from me." After moving out, Daniel visited less. When Amina called, he was busy. When she asked to meet, he postponed. When she spoke, Sarah listened with visible irritation. One day, Amina asked gently, "Beta, will you come for dinner this weekend?" Daniel sighed. "Ami, Sarah doesn't feel comfortable coming there." Amina swallowed her pain. "Then come alone." There was a pause. "I'll see," he replied. He never came. Sarah didn't like the way Daniel changed whenever his mother was mentioned. She would say, "You are too attached. Married men should prioritize their wives. Your mother should understand her limits." Daniel nodded. Slowly, unknowingly. He began to believe that loving his mother meant betraying his wife, so he chose one love and abandoned the other one afternoon. Amina visited their new home. She brought homemade food. Daniel's favorite. Sarah opened the door with a forced smile. During lunch, Amina spoke softly, offering advice she thought was helpful. Sarah suddenly said, "Please don't interfere in our lives. We know how to manage." The room fell silent. Daniel said nothing. Amina's hands trembled. She looked at her son, hoping he would speak, defend her, even just look at her. He didn't. That silence hurt more than any harsh word that day. Amina walked home alone. She didn't cry in the street. She didn't complain to anyone. But something inside her broke. For the first time, she realized, "My son is no longer mine." She sat on her prayer mat that night, tears falling silently. "Why, Ya Allah, I didn't raise him to hurt me. If I made mistakes, forgive me. Just don't let his heart harden." Daniel slept peacefully that night. He didn't know his mother had stopped eating properly. He didn't know she waited by the phone every evening. He didn't know she replayed his childhood memories to survive the present. He loved his wife, and slowly, painfully, he was forgetting the woman who gave him life. Amina had always believed pain was something you could live with. She had lived with it all her life. But there is a kind of pain that doesn't scream, doesn't bleed, doesn't show on the body. It settles quietly in the heart and slowly destroys it. That was the pain Daniel gave her. Amina stopped sleeping well. Her nights were long, filled with memories instead of rest. She would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, hearing Daniel's childhood laughter echo in her mind. Her appetite disappeared. Her hands trembled. Her chest felt heavy, as if something was pressing down on her heart. "Neighbors noticed you look weak," they said. "You should see a doctor." Amina smiled. "It's nothing. I'm just getting old." But inside, she knew. Loneliness was eating her faster than age ever could. Every evening, Amina sat near the window, not because she expected visitors but because hope is hard to kill. She waited for Daniel's call. Some days the phone rang. Most days it didn't. When it did, the conversation was short. "Yes, Ami, I'm busy." "Ami, we'll come some other time." "Never today." "Never now." Still, Amina thanked Allah for even those few words. One day, Amina felt dizzy while standing, her vision blurred. She realized she couldn't stay alone anymore. Gathering courage, she decided to visit Daniel. She didn't call ahead. She didn't want to be a burden, just a mother needing comfort. She wore her cleanest clothes and carried a small bag of fruits. When Sarah opened the door, her smile faded instantly. "You should have informed us," Sarah said. Amina lowered her eyes. "I didn't want to disturb." Daniel appeared from the room. He looked surprised. Not happy, just surprised. "Ami, is everything okay?" Amina nodded. "I just wanted to see you." Amina spoke about feeling unwell. Sarah interrupted. "Daniel, we have work tomorrow. We can't manage guests." Guests. That word pierced Amina's heart. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "Ami, maybe it's better if you go home. We'll visit you later." Later, a word Amina had heard too often. She stood up slowly, her legs weak. "Of course," she whispered. At the door. She turned back, just hoping Daniel would stop her. He didn't. A few days later, a family gathering took place. Relatives filled the house. Laughter echoed. Amina arrived alone. Sarah greeted everyone warmly except her during dinner. Amina tried to help in the kitchen. Sarah said loudly, "Please don't interfere. Things get messy." The room went silent. People looked away. Daniel sat there silent. That silence broke something in Amina forever. She felt small, invisible, unwanted that night. Amina walked home slowly. The road felt longer than ever. Her chest hurt. Her breath felt shallow. She stopped midway, holding a wall for support. For a moment she thought, if I fall here, will anyone notice? She reached home, locked the door, and collapsed onto the floor. Tears finally came. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet sobs shaking her tired body that night. Amina took out an old box. Inside were Daniel's school certificates, childhood photos, and small notes she had saved for years. She touched each one, like a goodbye. She whispered, I never wanted anything from you, except respect. She didn't blame him. Mothers rarely do at the same time. Daniel laughed at dinner with Sarah. He didn't know his mother had fainted. He didn't know she had stopped taking care of herself. He didn't know her prayers had changed. Now she only prayed one thing, Ya Allah, if my presence hurts him, take me away quietly. The next morning, Amina didn't wake up on time. The neighbors knocked. There was no answer. A fear spread through the small street. Because some silences are louder than screams. The morning was unusually quiet. Too quiet. Amina's door remained closed. Her window stayed dark. No sound of movement came from inside the house that had once been full of prayers and sacrifice. A neighbor knocked again. No answer. Fear settled in everyone's heart. They broke the door open. Amina lay on the prayer mat. Her hands were folded gently. Her face looked peaceful, tired but calm, as if she had finally rested after a lifetime of endurance. The doctor arrived later and quietly shook his head. Her heart was very weak. Weak. Yes. It had been broken too many times. Daniel was at work when his phone rang. An unknown number. Is this Daniel, son of Amina? Yes. I'm Daniel. There was a pause. Your mother, she passed away this morning. The world stopped. Daniel couldn't breathe. What do you mean? Passed away? She is no more. The phone slipped from his hand. No warning. No goodbye. No last conversation. Just emptiness. Daniel reached his mother's house in a panic. The door was open. People were gathered. Whispers filled the air. He pushed through the crowd. And then he saw her, the woman who raised him, the woman who starved so he could eat, the woman he ignored, lying silently. Forever. Daniel fell to his knees. Ami, please wake up. No answer. I'm here now. I came. Still nothing. For the first time in his life, Daniel cried like a child. An elderly neighbor approached him gently. She waited for you every day. Daniel looked up, confused. She got sick weeks ago. She wanted to see you, but she didn't want to trouble you. Another woman added. She fainted the other night. We helped her. She said, don't tell my son. He is busy. Each word stabbed Daniel's heart. Busy. Yes, he had been busy choosing comfort over duty. As relatives prepared for the funeral, Daniel entered his mother's room. Everything was simple. Everything was old. On the bed lay a small wooden box. Inside were his childhood photos, school certificates, a faded hospital bracelet from the day he was born. At the bottom was a folded paper. His hands trembled as he opened it. It was not a complaint. It was not anger. It was a prayer. Why, Ya Allah, forgive my son if he ever hurts me. Protect him and keep his heart soft. I have forgiven him already. Daniel broke down. She had forgiven him, even in silence, even in pain, even in death. Sarah stood at the door, watching for the first time. She felt uncomfortable, not because of the house, but because of the truth. She saw a man destroyed by regret. She whispered, Daniel, I didn't know it was this bad. Daniel looked at her, his eyes empty. She didn't complain. That's why you didn't know. After the burial, Daniel stayed behind. He sat near the grave long after everyone left. Ami, I chose wrong. The wind carried no reply. Regret doesn't knock when it arrives. It crashes. Daniel changed after that day. He helped others. He spoke about respect. He warned people. But every night, when he returned home, the silence followed him. Because some mistakes cannot be undone. Some forgiveness comes only after loss. And some mothers leave the world without ever being truly seen. Final lines. Powerful ending. He loved his wife, but he forgot the woman who gave him life. And when he finally remembered her, she was already gone. They sat together, but not like before. The room felt cold.